Welcome to Dirt Diaries, the podcast where the women of agriculture get real. From muddy boots to boardrooms, we're digging into the unfiltered stories of the FarmHers, ranchers, and every her shaping the future of ag. This isn't just shop talk, it's real talk. We're covering career paths, big wins, hard lessons, and everything in between. So whether you live it every day or you're just ag curious, pop in your earbuds and get ready. These are the raw, inspiring, and wildly relatable conversations you won't hear anywhere else. Let's dig in. Hey y'all, well, welcome back to Dirt Diaries. Today's guest is someone whose work is shaping the future of agriculture in the most powerful way, by investing in our youth. Molly Ball is the president of the National FFA Foundation. She's a proud former FFA member from Vicksburg, Michigan, whose journey has truly come full circle. In this conversation, Molly shares her path from growing up on a Michigan farm to her career in higher education development, fundraising, and ag advocacy, and how those experiences prepared her for the role she's in today. We talk about the life-changing impact FFA has on young people, the critical role of ag teachers, and the resilience it takes to lead in an industry that's always evolving. We also dig into her perspective as women in leadership, how she balances a high-demand career with family life, and why she believes the next generation is ready and able to take agriculture to new heights. Molly brings heart, strategy, and so much passion to everything she does. Let's get dirty with Molly. Well, Molly, thank you so much for joining me on Dirt Diaries. I mean, this is not our first time we've got to sit down and chat or stand and chat, but we're kind of relaxed right now. I can tell you're in an office space because, man, we've probably caught you, I mean, maybe on a little bit of a break you have, maybe your lunch break or something, because you're always so busy. But let's just go into it. Tell our viewers and our listeners just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, Molly Ball. I grew up in southern Michigan, southwestern Michigan, actually. And when you put the hand up, it's down here. On a farm, my dad actually was a full-time employee at the Upjohn Company. He was an electrician, and then he farmed on the side. So we only had about 75 acres that he farmed, and it was corn, soybeans. But I was his boy that he deemed that it was going to be me that was going to run the hay and be in the gravity wagons, pushing soybeans down. And so, which was awesome, growing up being in the back of a tractor. Talk about farm safety. It was not very safe for a little kid to be wedged in between the window that opened a little bit and the seat. But yeah, he took me out there, which I completely blessed to be there. So.
Yeah, that is so fun. And now you have a family of your own. And I mean,
do.
you were just telling me some exciting things before we hit the record button. So tell me a little bit about what's going on.
So grew up, I moved, I worked for FFA when we moved to Indianapolis in 1998. So I had the privilege of being here when I was 22 years old and helping with the move from Kansas City to Louisville. And that was quite something. Lots of good stories there. And also the FFA Center moved the same year to Indianapolis. And so I've raised my family here in Indianapolis. We've been here for 12 years. And I've got one going to Purdue in the fall, so boiler up, even though I'm a Michigan State grad. So I'm bleeding green at heart, but got a boy going to Purdue, the College of Ag. He's going to study ag economics. Would really love to be a trader. So anybody out there that wants to give him an internship, he wants one. He's like, between my freshman and sophomore year, I want to get an internship. The kid was bored this year, and so he decided he was going to take the Series 65 exam. So he can trade mutual funds. He's 18.
Has he always been into this, or?
He's always been a really old soul. And I said that from when he was little. He's a very old soul, eats ice cream every night before bed. He is very focused on, where he wants to be and the direction he wants to go. And why ag econ? I think obviously, me being in the industry, he grew up in a very suburban school, didn't have FFA, but he sees, my husband said to him one time, what's going to be really important in the future, in your future? He said, infrastructure and food. That's going to be critical to our growing world. And so I think that's why he heeded his advice and decided ag econ was his thing. And then my daughter's going to college next year, and So we're doing those college visits when she really doesn't know what she wants to do at all. And then I have a third grader who's into sports. That's what we do, is
Yeah.
sport.
You guys are, I mean, man, there's not even time
Oh, and
for a
I have a
nap.
full-time job. I have a full-time
Yeah.
job, Kirby,
Oh, wait, you do?
for this
Wait,
really cool youth organization.
okay. Wait, before we get into the full-time job though, I thought it was really cool what, because again, you guys are into sports, I know, but you're into making sure your kids are obviously involved in whatever they want to be in. But tell the viewers, listeners, what you and your husband are.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, in our spare time, so we're the third and fourth grade tackle football commissioners. And so what does that entail? That entails a draft process, evaluations of these little kids who are doing their tackle football for the first time. Um, choosing the coaches, working with the coaches, making sure that they've, got everything they need. So I was literally texting the coaches to say, this is our group text for the year. If there's any change for the fall, any changes. But, our the community we live in is like it's an amazing community. It's nothing like a farming. It's suburban, right? So it's nothing like a farming community where there's tight knit, but we're as tight knit as a farming community could be. Like you're only 2 degrees separated from people, and it's really through youth sports.
That's
That we've
cool.
had our best friends are out of youth sports, out of our kids. Yeah, it's just been great. We love the community we live in. It's nothing like being on a farm, but it's the closest thing to it.
Yeah. And I mean, a place obviously is so
Hmm.
important, where you're located, but the people are what make all the
Yeah,
difference, right? If
for
you're
sure.
surrounded by people that you really enjoy and have similar interests or just, like-minded, you know, goals and I don't know, just activities and things like that. It's nice. So nice to
Yep.
have that.
Yep.
Okay, but on the flip side, aside from everything else you do, let's talk about your full-time job.
Yeah. Let's do that.
So
Yeah. So
tell everyone about it.
I'm the president of the National FFA Foundation and the chief marketing officer for the organization. So every day is different for me. I could be, in a couple weeks, I'm headed to Minneapolis to work with some foundations up there from CHS and Cargill to talk about how, what philanthropy looks like for an organization like ours. I just got off the call literally before this with a vendor that's a licensee for us that had some questions about their artwork that needs to be reviewed. So it's to helping Scott, our CEO, with emails and speeches and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot, but it's really fun. And I was a former FFA member, so it's just this is my passion. Besides my kids' sports and things like that, this is amazing organization. And as you know, Kirby, it does so much for young people.
Mm. I think we always talk about this when we go to different conventions or conferences or just different things and you interview people. I'm not kidding. Anytime we go to the FFA convention, the National FFA convention, or even a local state chapter convention, um, it's always so great to interview those individuals because
Hmm.
they're so well spoken. Like the
Yeah.
tools in their toolbox, I'm like, they're gonna rule the world. Anybody who's wearing that blue corduroy jacket one day in some capacity, I mean, even if they want to go into mechanics, because some of those kids are so talented in that department, I'm like, they are just going to rule the world. It's impressive.
Yeah. And it's within themselves too, but it just
Hmm.
takes that teacher and that spark for them to like really say, you can do this. And I know it sounds so like cliche, but it's so true. Like you can do this.
Hmm.
You can do the extemporaneous public speaking. You can do the prepared. And I think also in my years of being involved in FFA, once you put on that blue jacket and you zip it up, uh, it's like your armor, right? It's your Superman suit. You literally can do anything when you have that jacket on because you look the same. All have the same interests, and so I just feel like it just brings a whole nother level of confidence to kids.
It really does. And even if they aren't participating in, say, the showing the livestock or any
Right.
of that, and I mentioned, mechanics, and there's just so many different things, or public speaking, and just
Hmm.
all the um, I mean, there's just so many different areas people could be involved in FFA and take part in. It's just making friends and making memories, and they're learning life skills that and having those connections for a lifetime that I think is super valuable and important. I mean, there's been so many times, and I've been able to tell you this, I wouldn't be in my career path if it wasn't for just even being involved in FFA and, you know, doing like the Green Hand President. I mean, I wasn't even
Yeah.
a crazy involved, like, looking back, I'm like, "Man, I probably should have done a little more," but, it's just I look back and I'm like, it was so fun to just be surrounded by those kind of people because they kind of pushed you to do better and be better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's yeah, I mean, we've got kids who participate where they're at, but just think
Mhm,
about, even if they do, because you and I are kind of similar. Like I didn't do anything past I like ran for state office, but that was about it. But just think about those kids who just do something within their chapter and then they decide,
mhm.
because of this, my career trajectory is in ag or it's not. And because I wore that jacket, because I feel like I, um, belong somewhere and I, gain the self confidence, look at where they go. And that's part of like, our storytelling too at FFA is like, let's tell, and you guys as well, is like, let's tell the stories of these people who, are changing agriculture. But oh, yes, they also wore the blue jacket, you know?
Yeah, and I think I mean, when we had the FFA Giving Day here
Hmm.
in the studios, and I think that's what was so important, to the Gotch family is the girls even had mentioned they didn't have a FFA, chapter at their school, but they're just always so impressed, as we all are, by the young individuals that participate in our members because they really are. I mean, that's why you see all the, major companies that are at National FFA because they're like, we got to get to know these kids now, even if they're only 14, because we're going to
Yeah,
hire them one day out of
yeah,
college.
yeah, 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 exactly,
It's so
exactly.
great.
So we're trying
Okay,
to come
well,
up.
switching gears,
Okay.
getting to know you a little bit
Hmm.
better, we're going to play a game called Break the Ice.
Okay.
So they're just some fun questions Jenna put together, and it'll just allow everybody to get to know you a little differently. What is a habit you have, whether it's strange or weird or just a habit
Oh,
you have?
um, this is so easy, but I have to do, I have coffee like I literally have to have it. Coffee every morning. Um,
Drink it
I have
black
this,
or do you
no
have like a
cream,
fancy coffee? Okay.
fancy coffee, cream. I'm trying to think of what else I do. Oh, I've got bad habits all over the place.
You're like, I don't need to share them.
Yeah, oh, I mean, it's just natural, right? I have to have the kitchen clean before I go to bed. Like that's just a habit I have every night. Like no dishes in the sink, the kitchen has to be clean. Like the house has to be put to bed. Have you read anything about that? Like the house has to be put to bed before anybody else goes to bed, and the mom always is the last person to go to bed because the house needs to be put to bed.
Yeah.
That's me. That's my bad habit.
Yeah. And then
So
you
I
get
don't
to
go to
get up
bed
in the
till late.
morning and have a coffee.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do it all over again, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, do you have a guilty pleasure?
Oh, yes. I mean, like I love sports. Like I would never, going to live sports is like so fun to me. So, when even if we don't have a kid that's playing, Kevin and I tend to like, oh, do you want to go to the football game Friday night? And they're
Oh,
like, people are like, you don't have a kid planning, and we're like, well, what else are we gonna do? I mean, it's just like for us, it is. We just love, going to watch live sports, and I never thought I would say that, but I do. So
are you a Colts fan or I mean, I know you've lived
mm,
different places, but are
yeah,
you
no, we're Lions fans. I mean, we're Colts fans because
Oh, you're
we've got
Lions fans.
yeah, we're Detroit Lions
Dan
fans.
Campbell, he's great.
He's a former FFA member. We need to shout out him
Wait,
somehow.
he is?
Yes,
Dan Campbell,
yes,
if you're out there. I'm a 49ers fan, and so I will say that a
yep,
couple of our meetings, it's been a little
yeah,
but
dicey.
I think the Lions, I mean, their story the past couple of years has been really cool. Dan Campbell though is just and an FFA member.
He
Go
was.
Dan
He was an
Campbell.
FFA member for Corey Rosenbush's. So he was in Corey Rosenbush's dad's chapter in Glen Rose, Texas. So Corey Rosenbush, yeah, if you get Corey on here to talk about fertilizer sometime, you'll have to ask him
Yeah.
about this. So his dad was his FFA advisor, and Corey played football with him at Glen Rose. And
That
so
is
same
cool.
chapter as Secretary Rollins too.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yes.
Oh,
So,
small
yep.
world.
Yep. So so I'm been itching to get Corey to like get this contact for me or have his dad call him to do
Yeah.
some PSAs for us because I think it would be very cool. But yeah, no, we've always been Detroit Lions fans. We're Barry Sanders folks, like, you know, Silverdome, Pontiac Silverdome, all the way back that far. Um, Growing up in Michigan, my grandparents grew up in Detroit, so we were down there a lot. But second favorites, Colts. We're here. We got some friends that coach, and so we're at the games and stuff. But yeah, yeah,
So will you
Lions
guys be
are.
heading to any Purdue games? Like,
Yep.
are they good at basketball? No.
Really good at basketball.
Oh, they're really good. Okay, that's
They're
what I was
number
like, am I
one.
getting that wrong? Okay. Oh, they
Yeah,
are
no,
number.
they're really, yeah,
I mean, I
preseason.
like sports, but I mean, I'm a little shaky on some of them, but okay. Purdue's good at
So,
basketball.
yep,
That'll be
Detroit,
fun.
Detroit Lions. We are huge Pacer fans. Like, went to the playoff games. Very sad for Tyrese.
Mm.
Um, our little boy is a huge Padres fan, so we're going to St. Louis this weekend for his birthday
Oh, that'll be
to
a
take
good
him to
game.
the St. Louis and Padres game. Tigers fans. I mean, we're just,
Oh, yeah.
what my daughter comes downstairs and I feel so bad. She's amazing, but she comes downstairs. She's like, I would really like to watch a movie, but all you guys do is watch sports.
She's like, oh, so thanks, guys.
I know.
Guess I
I'm
gotta
like,
watch sports. I mean,
it's just,
that's
I
kind of
said,
fun for the whole family, though.
yeah, it is. It is. It's actually really cool when you see the three boys get together and watch a game together. It's really fun. They bond over that. So yeah, we're hopeful Purdue pulls it off this fall for football. We'll see. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
But
but that'll be a fun freshman year for him.
yeah, it'll be great. I'm
Ugh,
very happy for him.
always love when you go to a university that has like just, some good sports. I mean, when I was in college, I went to Fresno State, but we won the World Series in baseball one year and we beat Georgia. So we went from the underdogs to the wonder dogs. And it
Oh,
was just so fun. I mean,
that is fun.
it was just, a good time.
Hey, the Colts play the 49ers this year at home.
But do they?
Yes. On December 22nd. So you'll have to like figure out how you
Yeah, maybe
with
I
your
should get
friends.
out there.
I
Yeah.
It's just an
Okay.
easy drive up. Yep.
Yeah, right? I mean, not bad. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so next question. What is your favorite condiment to use in excess?
Catch up.
Okay.
Uh-huh. For
You
sure.
love ketchup.
Uh-huh.
Something you wish you were better at.
As I've gotten older, multitasking and shutting my brain off.
Mm,
Yeah. And I think that's with women as you get older too. I think things just start happening and it gets overwhelmed. Like multitasking, I've always been really good at, but lately it's just been a little more difficult, probably because I've got too many things. But shutting my brain off at night, it's always been, I wish I could do better.
yeah, you're like, I need that switch.
Yeah.
A hidden talent. Do you have any of those?
Knowing players on a team better than some men.
No, I think that
Like,
is a hidden talent. I think
like
that's
I,
like, yeah,
like
yeah,
I can name the roster for, different teams and guys are
that's
like,
impressive.
what? Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Um, what's your least favorite part of the day?
Cooking dinner.
Mm.
Yeah, I
What's your
hate it.
favorite part of the day?
Let's see. I think having time in the morning, driving
Mm,
to work, and of course my brain turns on. But I think also just thinking through, and I call my mom every morning. She lives on a farm in Michigan, and so calling, and she's 88, so she tells me how much the corn has grown, and things like that. So I call her every morning on my way to work.
that's special.
So
That's nice to have
yeah,
that time.
yeah.
Something that makes you laugh, just like really belly laugh.
My husband.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
he's
sweet.
really funny. I could, it's like one of those things I could kill him, and
Yeah.
also he makes our whole house laugh. So
Oh, I love
yeah.
that. One thing that people may be surprised to know about you.
Um, I'm a big introvert.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
It's so
My
interesting because, like, career-wise, you kind of have to be
yeah,
forward-facing.
my social battery is not great. It's okay, but I'm a my husband's a huge extrovert. Like he's like, let's have a party, let's have people over all the time. And I'm like, I just
Like,
want to sit
please.
in my house and do nothing and just be here with my family. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I
Yeah,
am.
that
I mean,
actually does, that
I'm a
surprises
pretty good
me.
chameleon about it. You know,
Yeah.
I can do both. But yeah, I'm a pretty big, I'd rather just be by myself
Yeah, just have that
on
time.
vacations and things. Yeah.
If you could participate on one reality TV series, what would it be?
Oh, real world.
Oh,
The
yeah, the
old
old
ones
ones.
like San Francisco and
Yeah.
Miami.
I
Yeah,
think they did like a
for
San
sure.
Diego.
Those were
Yeah,
great.
those
Uh-huh.
were. My gosh, we haven't had that answer yet. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you had a sandwich named after you, what would it be called?
It has to be Molly McSomething, right?
Yeah.
Molly Mc, probably sausage, something
Yeah.
like that with that. But
I like that
that's
with some
easy, you
ketchup.
know. Yeah, with a lot of ketchup.
If you could only watch one movie or read one book for the rest of your life, what would it be?
That's a great question. Field of Dreams,
I was like,
maybe?
it's going to be a sports movie, I felt like.
Yeah, Field of Dreams.
There's
I
so
don't
many good
know.
ones to pick from, I
There's
guess. Like
so
even
many good
I
ones.
just
And
thought of like Miracle. I remember that hockey movie. That was a good one.
yeah, Field of Dreams, Miracle, book, uh, you know, what was the name of it? Um, it was hysterical. I'll find it and send it, but it was this book about moms who, oh, I Just Need to Lie Down. It was called I Just Need to Lie Down. And I read it when the kids were little,
Mm-hmm.
and it was hysterical to me because it was so true of just, and it wasn't just that weaved in kind of all the things that moms, you know, like careers and that sort of thing. But in the end, it was just like, just let me lie down. I just need a break, you know? So
Like,
that was like one of
please.
my favorite books of like real world reality
Okay.
of having a career and being a mom at the same time.
Yeah. So for all you moms out there, I just need to lie down. Need to read that.
Just,
But
just
or
let me lie down. And she was a writer for the New York Times, I think. I'll find out. I can't remember, but I read it so long ago. But it was like my go-to of like, oh, yes, I, she can do that. I can do that. You know.
like, yeah, there we go. A really distinct moment of pride.
I think it's gonna be when I send Lucas off to Purdue. He's worked really hard, and of all the kids, right? All the
Yeah.
kids are gonna
He's
have
just
their
the first. Yeah.
thing, but he's just the first one, and it'll be so cool to see what he does with it. Yeah.
I like that.
And Lauren too. Like
Yeah.
it'll be awesome to see what he does with it. But also, like, I think from work wise, you know, every year in from FFA perspective, when we can bring in 70 plus thousand students to Indianapolis and teachers and parents and all the people that come with it, and then send them home and we don't have anything tragic happen
Mm,
in between, on planes, trains, and automobiles and all the things in between. I count that as a success. You know, if there's things that happen like the screen doesn't come up or someone is off on their timing, that can happen, right? We can fix all that, but
yeah.
you can't fix tragedy. And so we're just very blessed in the 12 years I've been back not to have anything major
Yeah. That actually really is like a blessing to,
happen.
and that you have to remember and count those because I like how you said that too. A screen can always be fixed. You guys can figure out a glitch, an issue, but
hmm
the people attending are the most important.
Yeah. Accidents can happen anytime, things
Hmm.
like that. Um, and, you know, so as long, and people ask, was convention successful? And I'm like, absolutely, because we didn't have anything tragic happen. I mean, I don't know. Something could have happened. We've got, you know, kids stole things from the store and they don't do that. But things like that. Um, but also when we get reports from the city of, those kids are so respectful. I was in
Mm,
a hotel and I was worried that there was a bunch of kids staying in my hotel, but I didn't hear a peep. They were quiet and respectful. We're really lucky that way.
yeah. Again, we can't say enough great things about all those kids that are just a part of the organization. Um, Looking back on your career, has there ever been a moment where you're like, "Ah, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, is this really what I want to be doing?"
Sure. I mean, I think that when I was in, I was in higher education fundraising for years. And so I think it was the jump for me out of ag into liberal arts college
Mm,
fundraising that I was like, ooh, I'm leaving what I know. I'm leaving ag. I know fundraising. I can ask people for money, but I'm leaving ag. And then I sort of got used to it. And then I came back to ag, which was fun because now I got to see all my friends again, 12, 15 years later. But yeah, I think during that time I was like, am I leaving agriculture, all of the people behind, and I'm going in this completely different route? And will I ever be part of that again?
mm.
Yeah, that was
Is
my
there
question.
has there been a career moment that's really stood out the most to you over the years, especially getting, and I would say maybe in the last 12 years, like getting back into
hmm
ag? Has there been a big career moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just rekindling relationships, friendships with all of the people that I had friendships with for years and years and years. I think, being able to finally meet Patrick and be
Yeah.
in the position that I was, I saw him for years. My dad watched RFD-TV and I watched it. And I think just being able to be in the room with some of those people who have really changed the trajectory of ag and food has
Mhm.
been very humbling to me. That I'm in a space that I can interact with those people who are doing some really cool things to feed people is doesn't fall short with me, and that it's very humbling that I can be there, and also then be a voice for the students who are going to be part of those organizations in the future as well.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to switch gears now again, and this one's rapid fire convention edition. So just, quick answers, don't have to overthink it. Well, favorite convention city.
Oh, that's hard. Kansas City.
Ooh,
Did I say that? Yeah,
yeah, I like
Kansas
it.
City.
Kansas City's fun.
I was a kid in Kansas City.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's best FFA talent act you've ever seen.
Oh, um, oh, I can't remember his name, but he, uh, oh, they're all good. They're all good, but he was spectacular when he sang the Star Spangled Banner, and it just gave me chills. It was a few years ago. Anyway, I can't remember his name, but they're all amazing.
Yeah, they are all really, really talented, which is
Incredible.
crazy. And that's
Incredible.
just like kind of for fun for them. It's
hmm
like not
hmm
even, it's crazy. Most emotional student story you've ever heard. Ugh.
There's so many. I think when our national officers, oh, okay. So there was these young ladies. I was out in Connecticut for an alumni event a few years ago, and there was these young ladies who actually were conjoined twins. I
Mm.
think one of the big news shows has featured them. They were FFA members.
Oh.
And so they just told their story about, obviously they've got challenges. And so how FFA has accommodated for those challenges that they have. Like, how do I do a CDE when we're supposed to be two, but we're one? And FFA has completely, accommodated for that. They didn't know how they would get a jacket. And so National FFA completely made one for them so they could wear it as one person, two people, but one. And they just, these girls were so excited to show me the greenhouse and how they could, what they could do. And they were like, and you think that some of these kids get really disappointed because they don't win a contest or something happens with, being a state officer, national officer. And I thought to myself, like, they just need to get through every day. Like
Mm-hmm.
and if FFA we can wrap our arms around them and create some opportunity, and have them feel like they're normal kids, then we've done our job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Puts
They're
things into perspective
yeah, majorly. Yeah. Yeah.
and gives, even gives them a purpose and a place of, feeling wanted and accepted.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Mm.
sure. So I think there's a lot of stories like that, from, death of a family member and how FFA teachers have helped, or excuse me, FFA advisors and agricultural education teachers have become pseudo parents for these kids. I mean, we
Oh,
just have
yeah.
a national officer this year who tells a story about how she was in Virginia And she really got to know this one student. And they went to ice cream after a banquet and did all the things. And she got to know the people who were with her, and they were kind of alumni chapter leaders. They said, we've become kind of her pseudo parents. Her both of her parents, mom left, dad's in jail, her grandma's just around, but she loves FFA, and this has given her a purpose and a reason to see her way out of other things. Now all kind of comes back to me. There's a kid in California who was showing us around this really cool FFA chapter near Sacramento, and I was asking him questions like, so why did you leave FFA and then come back? Because now he was a junior and he was so excited to be one of the chapter officers. And he said, well, I was a member my freshman year. I dropped out of school because my brother is in a gang, and he is one of the Bloods or Crips or something. And I dropped out. I was starting to initiate into one of those gangs, and he saw his best friend get killed. And he said, I didn't want to do that. I want a career. I want a job. He goes, and this was a few years ago. So he said, I want to work for Monsanto. I want to be a seed salesperson. And this is a kid that, I mean, he could have went down
really dark
path, and he got himself out of it. And his teacher did it. His teacher went to him and said, you need to come back to school. And you need to be part of FFA. So I just think there's some. Oh, I have another one. Okay, this is the last one.
I love them. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the last one. Same school, sitting around talking to all these kids about where they were going to go after college or after high school. And so, of course, they were like, I'm first generation college, I'm first generation college, I'm first generation. Well, they get around to this one kid, and he said, I'm first generation high school.
Whoa.
And I said, what do you mean by that? He goes, I'm the first one in my family to ever graduate from high school. And it's because of FFA. It pushed me to graduate. So, I think there's dozens, thousands, millions of stories like that. So I'm just blessed to be the one in the room hearing them,
Last year at National FFA Convention, I got to interview some of the girls, the horrible floods that had taken place, and some of them, their whole towns were wiped out. But their ag teacher was like, we're gonna still get you kids to the convention. Like, I know you want to go. We've got to have something to hope for and cling on to. And they came, and I mean, some of them had lost their homes.
Right.
But they were there at convention. They were such great spokesmen for just like their rural area and the tragedies that were happening. But then the purpose of them being at the convention and what it meant for them, for their community, for the industry. I was like, this is so powerful. It was very impressive. But your heart just hurt for them. But they found peace, and they found just positivity in being able to be at convention and participate.
Yeah. It is. And, just over the years when there's been like a hurricane or something that I think in 2018, there was a hurricane that went through that wiped out a bunch of Georgia sugarcane and cotton farms. Those kids still came to convention. Like their entire farm was gone.
Yeah.
And they came to convention. It was crazy. So, yeah, I think that, I think also what I've heard a lot lately is that kids aren't resilient now. They're not tough. They're not resilient. They don't know how to pick themselves back up. And I have to say, contrary to FFA, like if you haven't seen resilience in some of these kids, just in the things that we're talking about right now, I hope that America can see the resilience in FFA members, because they pick themselves up truly by the bootstraps and are like, no, we're gonna go do this, and we're gonna help our neighbor, and we're gonna raise money, or we're gonna ask Tractor Supply Company to give fences and all the things, and they're gonna do it themselves. It's just what we teach. That's what we teach, and we don't teach it. The ag teachers teach it. Yeah.
And I want you to touch on that a little bit more, because you do get to be around a lot of the teachers, ag teachers.
Yeah.
Those adults who they leave such a tremendous impression. It's like, it's beyond of what we can even describe to people. But could you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you had your own wonderful ag teacher, Kirby, and
Hmm.
you probably attribute a lot of your success to that person. But I just think that they're like a coach, right? And so they're with them all the time. They want to be with them all the time, but they're friends, but they're also guiding stars for these young people. And I mean, I remember my ag teacher, he was phenomenal. I didn't know what I wanted to go to school for. And he helped me through of like, you like to do this, you like to write, you like to talk to people, you like to communicate. Why don't you go into agricultural communications? I'm like, what is that? I don't know what it is. Tell me what it is. So I just think that they are truly guide stars for these young people. And, whenever I have a story of an alum or talk to someone and we talk about their time in FFA, it always goes back to their agricultural education instructor. Always.
Hmm.
My teacher, X. My teacher took me Y. My teacher, had such a huge impact on their lives. And so we need to make sure we have more ag teachers. We're graduating more and they're getting into classrooms to change more lives. Look at Mr. Rosenbush. We were just talking about Dan Campbell and Secretary Rollins. Look at Secretary Rollins, her story about Mr. Rosenbush and how he changed her life being from a single, parent family and what he did for her. That's every day. That's not changed at all. That's every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it carries on. It's like with her, obviously, like you said, the rest of her life. Like just those moments and yeah, the impression and just the values he bestowed upon her. Like it probably changed her trajectory of like what her life was going to look like.
Right, right, right.
Ugh.
Amazing.
Okay, on a lighter note, we're gonna do FFA fortune cookie little game now. So you just make up inspiring one-liner advice on the spot, as if you're writing a fortune cookie for FFA members. So first one is for a student afraid to step on the stage.
Do it. Just do it. I mean, just do it. Just try it. Just take the leap. You will
I like that.
never ever be disappointed because unlike other organizations, no one judges you.
Hmm.
No one. They'll help you and they'll critique you, but no one judges you.
So true. For a chapter president in a small town.
Be humble. Lead from the back.
Ooh, that's
Hmm.
good. For a member thinking of pursuing ag communications.
Look at it from a very large lens. It's not just the pieces of writing and podcasting and influencing and public relations. Look at AgCom from a very large lens because it is wide open to other careers too. I mean, I went from ag communications to asking people for money, so fundraising. I just think it gives you ability of seeing a lot of different angles on how to interact with people and also communicate and tell your story, tell the story.
For an alum wondering how to give.
First of all, go find the chapter closest to you. Um, Go find the chapter closest to you and ask the teacher, what can I do?
Okay. These
Because
are
nine
all
times
great.
out of 10, they need help. They need help with a team. They need help with mentoring. They need help just, can you ask the feed store downtown for $100 so I can take my chapter to this things like that. Just where do you need me? Where can I fit? What can I do for you? Because these teachers are, I always explain to people like ag teachers are different than your K through 12 math science, teacher. They don't get to go home after school. They've got teams, they've got things to do, but also um, they're running in a million different directions and trying to be a parent and a confidant and a leader and. So it's probably why women are so good at being ag teachers because they can multitask.
Multitask. Well, a part of
Mhm.
that, I do want to like talk now more a little bit just about you as an individual and being a woman in, the workforce like you've been. And I
Uh-huh.
know obviously different sectors, but asking people for money and, just people of different powerful, different institutions, all that. But kind of touch on that and just what it's like to be a woman in the position that you've been in.
Mhm. Mhm. That's so interesting. Kind of just my career trajectory
Mm-hmm.
has been, it's been really kind of interesting when you look back to of, I was in ag and I worked for Farm Bureau. When I worked for FFA, I was here for 2 years and then I left and I went and worked for the Michigan Farm Bureau where I was a regional rep. And I tell everybody that was my favorite job because every day I got to go work with farmers. But as a female walking onto a farmer's farm, they never judge, like they were great, but you always have that sense of like, are they going to take me seriously?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not selling them something. What I'm selling them is an organization that lobbies for them, that helps them, that, progresses their farm, that sort of thing. So I didn't have anything to sell them. My whole sales pitch was relationship. And, so you never know how they're going to perceive you when you walk on there. But I tell you, it was my favorite job. When I was having a bad day, I would go down to Monroe County and go to Hal's farm, and he knew I was having a bad day, and he's like, "Let's go ride in the truck." I mean, that was my day. I mean, how cool is that? Wasn't trying to sell him seed or chemicals or anything. We just went and rode in the truck. It was awesome. Um, so that was my favorite. And then as I was going through my career, the one big thing is not even in ag, but you are in rooms with people don't understand what you have to do. It's just different as a woman and
Mm-hmm.
especially as a parent. Um, I always say you're into it some weeks, 60% of the time, your job, and some weeks are 40%. It just depends on what's happening with your family. And I think that for when I was interviewing for jobs, I had a whole panel of men, and I think I was 30. And they came in the room and they said, "So how are you going to do this and like travel and have kids?" And I'm not kidding. They asked me that, and I'm
Interesting.
like, "Hmm." So I got in the car that night and I told my husband, I'm like, "I don't want it. I don't want to do this." And he's like, "What are you talking about? We drove all the way down here to," and so finally, it just kind of they just never lived that way. Like they always had the jobs and they were traveling and everything. They just never experienced a woman having a partner who
Yeah.
says, no, go do, and that's a man. You know what I mean? Like Kevin's like, I'm 50% of this. Like I can stay home and take care of them. Um, and so they just never experienced it. So I had to step into their shoes, the experience of their partners or wives stayed home and took care of the kids. They just never had a woman, it's just different for them. And so you just have to look at it from a different perspective too. But I always look at it, from my perspective as a woman leader, like I need to help sometimes, because we have different emotions, different skills, different things, help people along with, no, they've got a sick parent or they've got a sick child. Like we just got to be flexible. Like nothing in any of our organizations is going to burn down today that we can't go home and take care of our kids or take care of our parent. Like everything's going to be all right.
Yeah.
And so I think I've taken that time to realize that, but also I think just in ag, I still don't know if we've broken that glass ceiling yet. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
look around in some of the rooms I'm in, I'm like, wow, I'm the only woman, or wow, there's one of two.
That's interesting.
And yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I just a few weeks ago I was in a room with 30 people and leaders in agriculture. There was outside of the FFA staff, there were 4 women.
Mm.
Hmm. So I think one time one of my mentors said to me, she said, I think women are afraid to take on larger roles because they're afraid they're going to fail.
Mm.
Fail either in work or fail at home. And you can't jeopardize either. And so they will not go for roles where they feel like they're going to fail. But there's no men behind them that are telling them they're not going to fail, that they're going to help them. So we need more men to tell them, we're behind you. We're not going to let you fail. You're going to be great. You need to do this. But they're like, I'm either going to fail at home or I'm going to fail at work because I am thinking about home. So it's just, I think it's still hard, no matter what we do, no matter how much we try. I just think it's still hard for women to be like, you can't be 100% sometimes
Yeah.
in either. So
I was talking to somebody one time and they said, I believe you can have it all, but just not at the same time.
so I tell you, probably tell young women that too, you're like, you can't have it all, just not at all at one time,
Yeah.
and
I
I've
was
got
in a room
some.
full of women at a Bayer conference, and I was up conducting a panel, and women of all ages, right? And we talked a lot about that, and that was a huge topic of conversation because it's just the reality,
Mhm.
and
It is
having
the
it all looks
reality.
different for everyone. And
Right.
so, like the comparison, comparison is a thief of time, joy, everything else, and yeah, it's an interesting thing though. Like we do need more men to kind of prop us up in different ways. I did have a interesting mentor in my time when I started out early in my career, and he was a male, and I really appreciate him because he's like, you need to walk into that room or every morning when you wake up, look in the mirror and say, you're a badass. And like, he's like, look in that mirror and like say, no one's better than me today or whatever. And he's like, I don't, and I go, well, do you do that? And he goes, I don't have to do that because I already think that. He goes, I already know that about myself. He's like, so whatever you need to do to like believe that about you, then you need to do that. And he's like, and I think just looking in the mirror will help, give yourself a pep talk. And I was like, that's so interesting. And he was so vulnerable to say, oh, I don't need to do that because I already know that. Yeah.
And so if women think like that, then I just don't think women are allowed to think like that, because then then you've got a chip on your shoulder. You've got, you're, narcissistic or whatever,
You're a little too hard, a little too
or a little too
cold.
hard. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that we've got to prop our women up, young women up, or I think women that are returning, I think a lot of these young moms that are returning in here to FFA, and they're like, how am I going to do this? How am I, like, I'll miss my baby, but I need to work, but I want to be home. I actually told someone last night, I said, don't worry about them when they're little. When they get into high school, if you need to stay home when they're in high school. They're like, what? And I said, they'll be fine when they're little. Trust me, they'll be fine. Someone will always be there to take care of them. It'll always be good. They'll be fine. When they get into high school is when they need you the most. And they may not be around, you know, but they need you a lot.
That's great advice. Yeah.
They need you just to be there and to listen and to be up at 11 or 12, be like, they're ready to talk. You just have to be there. And so they're, little kids, they're resilient. They're easy. Babies, eh.
They don't know what's going on. We don't remember, Yeah.
But you're launching someone into the world of our world.
Mm-hmm.
And so that high school time is really that time of like watching what they're doing, who they're hanging out with, instilling values, um, making sure they're working and working at school, and just don't ignore them just because they don't need you physically as much. They need you mentally,
Mm-hmm. And
um,
emotionally,
and
they
emotionally.
need you there.
Hmm.
Well, Molly, I could always talk to you. We could talk all day long. But to wrap up our Dirt Diaries, we like to ask the question: if you had a diary or a journal, and you were to write something in it today that you'd want your future self to read, what would you write?
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking about that last night, and just to continue to believe in yourself, invest in yourself, stop and think. I don't think we think enough. My dad used to tell me that when I go out with my friends, and I tell my kids this: make good choices and think, because everything's so fast now.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is so fast. It never gives us time just to think and process. And I would tell my future self to take that time and think, and also think about how you are going to intentionally build relationships with people and intentionally tell a story. Because sometimes I have I know where I want to be out here, like down the road, but I have a hard time articulating it in here. And so being more intentional on how you get to from A to Z rather than skipping all that in the middle, get to A to Z really fast. So for young women out there, those are really important to think about because people take you more seriously and more genuinely if you really think about and be intentional about your words.
I like that. That's great advice. Well, again, Molly, thank you so much for joining me on today's Dirt Diaries.
Thanks, Kirby.
See you next time. That's it for today's episode of Dirt Diaries, where the women of ag leave no story untold. If you loved what you heard, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone else. Until next time, keep showing up, speaking out, and getting your hands dirty.